By our clocks, it's saying it's 10 o'clock, so we're gonna start. And people will join in as they wish. So congratulations for those of you who have signed up for Ignite. It's always good to get more information. I don't know if I've ever gone to things that I don't pick up some little thing that'll work, and I hope that today you'll do that. There's a whole sessions about lead generation here coming up for you. And I'm sure some of us are going to walk over what another person is going to talk about too. And the reality is this, our team, we live on lead generation. We've tried other things and it just hasn't worked so far for us, these other ideas. So we concentrate on that. And I should tell you, we've fallen on our face quite a few times in 10 years trying to make lead generation work. I don't know why the mistakes happen, but they've happened lots. And it's one thing to get leads, and friends of mine in the US in a group I was still in, they call it the squirrel syndrome, that people will get leads just like a squirrel gathers nuts, and then they're scared for some reason to call them. So if you get a lead and you don't do anything with it, you've really just wasted your time, and you probably hurt your reputation in the community. So in terms of lead generation, there's two ways generally you're going to get leads. You're going to be on social media. You're going to stop being a secret agent. You're going to be a real agent. You're going to tell people that you're a realtor, and you're going to gather up data, be it in showing a house, in at an open house event, in organizations that you're a member of. A friend of mine in Florida, talk about low tech. Here's his tech. He has a name badge. He never buys a full order of groceries. He wears his name badge and he goes into the grocery store twice a day, a big store. And I saw him around Christmas time and I said, you know, how's the name badge doing? He said, this year I did 11 deals in that store with staff and customers. That's about as low tech as you can get. And so whatever idea you come up with at the end of the day, it almost doesn't matter as long as you do it, if you're out there. You have to be confident enough just to talk to people. Very few people are going to say, stop bothering me. So the more you reach out, the more you'll build something to go with. Now, on lead generation, something you should be aware of. At last time I did a survey and counted up companies that do lead generation, I got up to 198 companies that can do lead generation for you. They all want to take your money. That's pretty well a consistent path through everyone. And they have varying degrees of success. But I'd say the main reason that people have a bad experience in lead generation is not because it's a shitty company that they've signed up with. It's because they don't follow a program of contacting the people who have raised their hand and said, I need some help. I want to know what the values are on this street. My friend just sold his house. I'm being nosy. But people don't do those things in a vacuum. If once you dive into them and have some sort of contact with them, you'll find they have some sort of interest in real estate. And at that point, that's when you have them in some kind of system that you're going to contact them and have a connection with them. When you start, it's exciting. A lot of times you're not sure. I'm very excited, but I don't know what to do today, Wednesday morning. You know, what the hell do I do? Most people do pretty good with their brother-in-law, their roommate from college, those people that they've maintained some sort of contact with. But you're going to run through that list of people fairly quickly. And you'll have some disappointments and you'll have some good surprises. But it's awful tough to pay all your expenses and survive in this business with just this group of people who you happen to know. So you've got to think of it as when you see the Olympics on TV and they have these Olympic circles. You can't just live on one circle. You got to get out and somehow, if this one circle is your main circle, you got to see the connections that they have. And that can be done with a bunch of things. You can have attend some functions, get invited to some functions. If a kid is playing minor soccer.
Excuse me for a moment. Al, you
Yes.
keep going in, you keep kind of going in and going out. Is that just me, guys, or is that
I don't
everybody?
know.
It could be the mic, so that's.
I can hear him fine.
Okay,
Okay.
could be me, could be me.
I'll stay closer to the mic then.
My sound is good.
Okay. You know, if you have a kid playing soccer, it's always good as a parent to show up at their soccer functions, but it's really important to have some swag when you go to these events. Don't be a secret agent. You gotta be there. And in that line, when you're close enough to them, you have to get that sphere of influence going where you have a list of things, people that you're in touch with. And you can be their best supplier of information about real estate. People are nosy. They, you know, there's the Tim Hortons talk, and who knows if it's truthful or not. But the more you can touch people in a small way with information, like when they come out, if you have your sphere of influence set up and you want to do some posts about real estate, when the Bank of Canada raises its rate a quarter point, people don't know what the hell that means. A lot of people, they just know that it's probably going to cost me more money for a mortgage. So if you can be the central person in their life that's giving out some information, you can be an important person to them about real estate. Once again, there's a ton of different things that people can do. I have friends that do newsletters. I'm not too good on newsletters, but other people, they make it work. And for those of you who've had some experience in real estate, I'll share with you one of the things that used to hurt the most, and deservedly, it should, I should be mad at myself. It's when you see a new listing come up and it's someone you know, someone in a circle, someone who doesn't think you're still in real estate. Oh boy, that's a tough one. And we do a Christmas card list, old school, and it can make for disappointing times because we send out maybe 500 cards and we always get 2 or 3 back, and we check and they've sold their house. So that's bad on us. And you know, here's how bad it is. Say the average, you all know the average sale price now is say 400 or maybe 500, but let's even say 4. And 2.5% on that is 10,000. 3 of them is $30,000. So one of the things is we're not talking going into the dollar store revenue lost when a client gets ticked off. You know, these are big numbers. So that's a point, is building your list. You want to be attentive to it. God knows we have lots of spare time that we can do things with, but you've got to build it into your appointments. You should be setting off things in your appointment list to include that kind of stuff. You know, a lot of these things, we do it when we're getting scared. Are we going to be able to pay the Visa bill or this? And we sort of think we got to jump in and do some of this stuff and get active at it. But that's not the way you're going to be successful. You got to do it on an ongoing basis. You got to touch this stuff on a regular basis. In that line, you also have to be truthful in that when you say you're going to contact someone, you should contact them. You know, that you're just going to piss them off if you say you're going to get back to them and don't get back to them. Other friends I have, we don't do this, but we should be keeping a home anniversary list as a start to your sphere of influence. Because if you've sold someone a house, if you've had someone that you've sold their home for you, you'll be surprised at how many people, say a military person, especially if they're in the Navy, they get moved out of here, they go to Esquimalt, I can never pronounce that properly, but you should keep them in your list because the odds are if they're in the Navy, they're coming back to Halifax at some time. So if you don't, you need to touch these people on a regular basis, and you got to get this list going. Now, the best day to start that list is today. The second best day is tomorrow. So this is not something you say, okay, I'm going to do that, and then you never quite get there. There's always something that's more important. So if you start your list with one name, that's a good start on this.
It's
The best-
also, if I could just say something quickly, it's great to put all of that stuff in command,
Yes, it is.
right? And then you've got it right there and you get a little pop-up and whatever saying, oh, in a day or so, or however you decide to put it in, Jack and Jill, will have been in their house for 3 years, send them a card and say, wowee, or whatever, right? So command is really good.
Exactly. You know, people rarely are saucy to you when you call them up and say, I'm just giving you a call. You know, today's one of your home anniversaries. Just the time has gone by so quick. And I've never had someone say, Al, go bother someone else. It's just not the way it works. You just have to keep in front of people. This is not rocket science. I mean, you don't have to send them an analysis of all where the market is and things like that. Sometimes soft and sincerity works. Now, that's not to say you don't keep up to date on data. Johan and we had a conversation just the other day about pulling out data, how to pull it out, where to get it. And when people get that on your list that you're going to do today, this afternoon, they think, boy, that Johan, he's got his stuff together here. You know, he's professional. He's just not the guy that now he's doing real estate or something like that. You just have to be, you got to raise yourself from the crowd. My wife, Christine, was a sales director with Mary Kay Cosmetics. And I went to a couple of their seminars, and this Mary Kay Ash, she's a tremendous person. She's passed now, but at one time she said, you know, we can take it to another level here, but in what she said, you know, for women to be successful in business, my experience is I got to work twice as hard as a man, and I got to be twice as smart. And then she said, and this is the killer, fortunately, that's not that hard. So it's the same take out about
That's a good one. Good one.
men, women, and think about other realtors. So if you don't have to do a lot to raise yourself above the crowd. You just have to be in their head. You got to get in their head, and for them to think, she's my girl, or he's my guy. You've heard people say, you talk to them, you've got something wrong with the car, you're not sure, you trust the mechanic, and you talk to one of your best friends, oh, you should call my guy. He's a good guy, and you want to be that guy. And that's the key to this, is as you build your list, people will start out being just a name, and that's about it. But the more you can build on them and talk to them on an irregular basis, but still doing it well. You know, if you've been in this business 5 years and you've sold 20 transactions a year, so you got 100. And if you want to do home anniversaries, divide that up, you're just making one call every 3.6 days to be in touch with your people. You can be sure there's someone on the new street that they moved into who's in real estate. You know, and they're going to be in a book club, or they're going to be on a hockey team with kids and things like that. So you got to sort of be protecting your rear end on this, that someone doesn't scoop in and take your position. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to, as we go through this, to answer those. I think we're monitoring the chat list. Is
Yeah.
anything coming up?
No questions right now.
Okay, that's even better. On lead generation, here's something that's near and dear to our hearts anyway. Watch your money carefully, carefully, carefully. There's a lot of things when you're in the business, you're sort of a lone ranger trying to make it work. Hold on to your money as tight as you can. Don't get sucked into these things that are, they call you and say, oh, we can provide you with 25 leads a month. Check things out. You'll find out a lot of times they're selling it to 6 other agents. And so you're giving them your money, hard-earned money, and they're plugging it out there all this time. So be very, very prudent in your money. I've been from time to time too big a spender. And then after a while you think, geez, why did I do that? You know, it just seems like such a stupid thing to do. The other thing is, you have an advantage over pretty well every other brokerage around in Command. By putting data in and putting dates of follow-ups in Command, you don't have to think about it. It's not like you're going to bed and you're saying, oh, geez, I gotta call him tomorrow. I forgot about calling him. Or I haven't talked to him in a long time. So in Command, you can put your follow-up dates in it. And the other thing about Command is we tell our people all the time, when you're doing follow-ups, we tell them, forget about doing Monday and Friday. we get people to do their follow-ups on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Because Monday, it's after the weekend, you're trying to get things set up, get going with the week and things like this. And you've got things that gotta be done. On Friday, you're thinking, well, maybe, we're gonna do this with the kids, or I'm going to this show or wherever. So you've got enough things to do to sort of tidy up the week. So we concentrate on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for follow-ups. Seems to work better for us. Maybe other days are better for you. On what we do with lead generation is we're all about follow-ups. It's just a super important part of our life. We look at it a little differently than single proprietors because we have a team, and by the time the lead gets to the agent, we've had a CRM, we've had people calling that lead, setting up an appointment on it, doing all the things that they do. And so we have people who've done that. We have been paying our Visa bill every month, whether or not the people have been contacted properly. And even at that, we miss a lot. You miss things, people miss things, they're not as attentive on it. So don't be shy if you've got someone doing lead generation for you. And if you're not following up on every one of those leads, cut back on the leads. There's nothing to be proud of that you're getting 20 leads a month and you've only contacted 2 of them. Well, suck it up. Say, geez, I gotta adjust this. I gotta do something a little different. Don't be having them. They're coming, the leads are coming in the front door. They've called for a reason. Don't be letting them go out your back door. You have to watch your money. Your sphere of influence. I keep going back to this because it's in the notes that they asked me to talk about, but think of it as you have a grocery store or a hardware store. That sphere is they're your customers. That's an important call. They already know you. You don't have to talk super nice to them and be a nice person, sort of talk about how you're intelligent or whatever. You've already got them there for you. So that's who you know. That's your hood. And so don't be constantly in the chase for someone new if you've already got people that you're not doing the deed for. Lead generation is one part of this system. And sometimes it's as simple, the old ways are still a pretty good way. We've lost the opportunity of open houses because we all had these multiple offers. We didn't really have to work that hard. If you could get a listing, that was key to it. We may find that open houses will be coming back. And it's possible that door knocking can be coming back. Some people get along good with it. I'm not that person. I can tell you that in the early 80s, when I did it, I was new to Bedford, didn't know anyone, and started to go out and do door knocking, and I could walk up to the door and I could see the curtain move just a tiny little bit, enough to get a look at you. And I was talking to, I was with Pat King Real Estate, that dates me. Anyway, they, to my manager at the time, a guy by the name of Ron Pierce, who I still think he's a terrific guy. He said, Al, you got a dog, haven't you? I said, yeah, I got a dog. He said, take the dog with you. People like dogs, and just walk along. And I did that. And in the first week, there was two old ladies that were walking, they pat the dog a little bit. Oh, what are you doing? Told them. And they said, oh, well, people across the street, that White House, they're getting a divorce. You should talk to them. And it turned out it was true. And so the people like dogs more than they like a stranger knocking on their door. So think it through. If something isn't working, make an adjustment and get as much information as you can so you can build that list up. That list is gold. People buy someone's contact list when they retire. I've done it. And I'd say 80% of them are useless. But 20% of them, it's surprising how you can step right into that relationship, and it will work. I can tell you that Christine's best story about consistency, a list that you send out information to, was a guy on the piece of property in Clayton Park. He called one day and he said to her, "Jesus, you're persistent." Other people, I talk to them, or they talk to me, and I hear from them once or twice. You've been sending me this information regular basis, like every month I hear from you. Well, it turned out he had $12 million in homes here. And she took him on as a client, started working with him, and she did about 7 sales of his rental properties that he wanted to start cutting down on it. And when he first called, I was sitting right across from her, and she put him on speaker, and he was saying some things about it, and she wrote down a piece of paper, "Who is this?" And so we had to scramble to connect them to something. And so sometimes, it's not rocket science if you're just the one that keeps asking. You can't have a lot of pride in this business. You got to understand that you have to continually ask for the business. On lead generation, they don't have this in here. It's a little bit probably about relationship management. You're someone who is supplying other people business. Home inspectors, mortgage people. Don't be shy. Ask them, just come right out and say, look, I'm referring my clients to you. What are you going to do for me? And some of them might say, well, I've got my long-term relationships. My sister is a realtor, so I sort of give most of my business to her. Well, I'd be looking for a new mortgage person. All things being equal, maybe they're the best things in sliced bread, but you need to continue to build that list. Here's where we are to tell you what it can be. And Johan happens to be with us. He knows this to be factual, but in Nova Scotia, our database has 100,000 names. That's a lot. And some of them probably still think, who the hell are you? But we're constantly touching them. And we've had people who have bought a house from someone else, but we showed them a house. We did a shitty job, I guess, of getting them as a client, but they're still on our list. They haven't asked to be taken off. And we've had several, they call and say, oh, I'm finally sold my house in Calgary. I'm coming back this way. Can you look after us? You seem to be the only one that comes back for a second conversation or sends us more information, that kind of thing. So, but the other thing that flows into this, we all used to think we had a great memory. I'd say over the last couple of years, my memory isn't so great. And I'm trying, when you see them at Tim Hortons or you see them at a hockey game or something, and they start talking to you and you're trying to think, geez, who is this? Who is this? Who is this? So make notes. And when you make your notes about a client, here's another very useful piece of information. When you first meet them or have an interaction with them, and they talk about their, see, my boss is calling, sorry about that. When you first meet them and have an interaction with them, they might tell you that their daughter loves horses. She's a bit of an equestrian. The son is involved in soccer. You sell them a house. And then for some reason you have that maybe they reached out to you and you get back to them. And in the conversation, you might say,
Christine Chiasson.
sorry, just one second. Chris, I'm in that presentation. No, okay, bye-bye. Thanks. Now I'll pay the price for that.
That is so funny. I love it.
Yeah, I'll pay the price. But if you put notes in with on your CRM, hopefully you have a sort of a database that you're building, and you put in about the son and the daughter, and then you have a conversation with them, they reach out, and you're looking at it and you're saying, oh yeah, okay, I'll get you that information. By the way, how's your daughter doing? Is she still interested in horses? And your son, he used to be in soccer, I think, didn't he? Oh yeah. He's trying to play it at university, but he still follows it a lot. And they think, God, how do you have such a good memory? I don't have such a good memory. What I have is I have good notes in the file. And Johan's had the benefit of some of these discussions about making sure your notes have auxiliary information in them, because it doesn't take, just like Mary Kay Ash said, it's not that hard to be raised above the crowd. People think if you care, they'll care back. So if you're not being helpful to them and show interest in them, it's unlikely they're going to show much interest in you, because real estate is a little bit about the shiny nickel too. You know, someone comes in and they're good at putting out neighborhood letters. They're good at following up. They're good at sending out just listed cards. They're good at sending out just sold cards. And after a while, people think, geez, she owns the market here. You know, because they haven't heard from you. Once again, you're the secret agent. You just haven't been doing your work. Have any questions come up on this, or I'm either boring you or this just.
No, Al, that what you were saying about making notes about people and stuff. So I'll just share a quick little thing. When I first started in the business and I did a lot of open houses, I learned the hard way that, you know, you see all these people come through and they'll remember you because you're one person that they're remembering, but you don't always remember everybody else. And it only took once, and it was pretty early in my career, that I met this couple at an open house and blah, blah, blah. And we had a chat. And then it was about 6 months or maybe even a year later, I met them at the rink. And I could not for the life of me remember who they were. They could remember who I was, and they started talking about real estate and all this. And I was like, oh my God. Anyway, I think I made the wrong impression there. Ever since that day, every time I did an open house, on the back of my sheet or whatever I had, because I'd always have like a notebook or something, I would write something about those people so I could remember them, whether it was Tom and Trish and, you know, they had a dog, or she's got blonde hair or something, so I could remember. And then so then it happened again. So this other couple that I was talking with at the open house, I saw them again, or actually they called me about 6 months later and said, "Hi, Holly, this is, you know, blah and blah. And we met you at an open house." And they, you know, said what street and all of that. And we really connected with you. So we'd like you to come and list our house. And I knew exactly who they were because I wrote those notes. Now, mind you, I wasn't driving in my car. I was sitting in my office and I went "Ooh," to those notes on that particular open house. And they just thought that was wonderful that I remembered them. I remembered that they had a white poodle. I remembered, so they, and they mentioned it so many times. So it's really good to make those notes so you don't look silly.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if they're the best notes in the world, as long as you put something in. And when they see that you've done that, it's amazing. They think you care. And if you think about your own
Exactly.
connections out there, if you think they care, and they think you care, is more important, they'll probably stick with you. If you have a bad experience with someone who's all high and mighty, talking all big words, you know, then you have to judge your conversation to the people that you're dealing with. If you start acting uppity, it's not going to be helpful to you. I come from basic world, grew up in Marion Bridge, just outside of Sydney, and my parents had a grocery store. But my dad and mom always told me to be nice to customers all the time. Because if you get a reputation for being snooty or something like that, we're all in a small world of clients that we deal with. It's nice to get these calls out of the blue, but it's really nice to have people who recommend you to other people. So this note taking is extremely, extremely important. And we
don't
know-
don't trust your memory. Make the note.
no, you can't trust your memory. I'd like to trust it, but some days it just doesn't follow through. That it's now in your notes that you've been given on this, it gives you, in building your sphere of influence, a list of people that you should reach out to. Christine and I bought an office in Sydney that we converted to Keller Williams. And in doing that, I was a member of on Classmates. I went to Riverview High School. Well, I started posting on that. And even though we're not selling directly in Sydney, we sort of keep a list of what comes out of that Classmates site. And I think I didn't get the numbers yet for 22, but in 21, I know I referred 9 clients out of Classmates to our agents in the Sydney office. That's a simple thing. Almost every high school is on this Classmates thing. And you should put your announcements on things about who the hell you are, what you're doing, love to reconnect, love to da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's just, it's a simple business if you do it. It's a complicated business if you're just chasing the next shiny nickel. A lot of this stuff is dirt cheap. You put a posting on Classmates, you're probably going to hit, I think Riverview has 800 or 900 on it. And, you know, that some of them were as odd as they're moving back from Calgary. Their parent, one of their parents is going into nursing home. Who can I talk to about listing my home? Things like that. So it doesn't take a world of difference to make a difference. And everyone has, there's this Gary Keller book, The One Thing. That's a key book. Friends of ours, we were at Royal LePage Anchor, Sandy and Judy Hines, in another dating event. But when websites first became popular, Sandy is a conservative guy about money. He built his own. And here's what he did on his. He made his site one of the best sites going for information about Metro Halifax. He went and he had every subdivision listed, all the focus points of that. Then he moved on to condos and he had all the information about how many units, was there parking, what was included in the condo fees, And he lived off that for a long time because people say, if I'm going to buy a condo, that's Andy Hines. He's got all the information on it. And he does have a lot of that information. I haven't looked for the past 2 or 3 years, but once again, low budget, had a lot of computer knowledge to do it. So that worked for him. The one thing that people have, that Larry Allen is like the new construction condo guy of the world. And he's got a very substantial database that, has all these people in his contact list. And he's known for that thing. So many people have the one thing. And they don't have to have 10 things. You just have to have one thing that's really good. I'll give Johan a plug. Johan's in Yarmouth. Well, he's good at telling, he's pretty good. I don't want him to get too swollen in the head, but he's pretty good at telling people that he's in Yarmouth. I think he's the only KW agent down there, but that can be his thing. Instead of we're trying to send business his way, but there's another 280 agents in Keller Williams. They'd like to get referral checks. I'm sure there's people in other communities, and you can be one of those people. You can be saying that, look, I'm in this area here. You can put out posts and things like that. And if other agents know, because the reality is when you're building a sphere of influence, who is your best customer? Your best customer is probably other realtors. Because if you really know that community, it may not be a very big community. It may be a fairly small community. But if you're the person in Digby, if you're the person in Muscatavon, there's a whole list of places out there. If you're that one, you can't be a secret agent. I keep saying secret agents. Tell people who you are, what you're doing, and keep building that list. You can have more than one contact list too. So you're out there, you get a listing, and Joe McGinnis from Remax sells it. I would have an agent contact list. People who you've done a deal, you like the deal, they were good to deal with. So when you list something else, I'd be saying, look, just listed this. You may want to know about it. That was such a nice deal we did. Love to do another one with you. So you're just touching more and more people. And what do? They say, geez, that girl, she's really smart. She's on the ball. And so the more people that talk nice about you, the better off it is for you. We all know if someone talks not nice about someone, that has an effect too. So the more you can be seen as being a good person, the better off your business is going to be in building your sphere. I apologize again for mispronouncing that. Cape Breton is coming up in the discussion. The other thing that I know one of the people on our team does this, they go to every function at NSAR. They're just at every one of them. And they're introducing themselves, they're talking to people, because that lady, she said, when I show someone's home that she has listed, it seems to go a hell of a lot better for me. In my contact with her, she's not thinking I'm some person out there in the cloud. I'm a real person and we got along well, and the transactions seems to go better. So you can have more than one list. They can be unconventional, the lists that you have. And that's the gist of this. Right now, our list of 100,000, there's 1 million people in Nova Scotia. That list of 100,000, some of it is out of date, but they haven't asked to be taken off the list. And people on average, in the major metropolitan area, they do a real estate transaction every 5 to 7 years. In Cape Breton, and we've tracked the data, in Cape Breton, the average transaction down there, historically, it's changing, but there it was 7 to 8, 15 to 18. People had a home, they stayed in it longer than Halifax area. A lot of Halifax people, they do starters, home number 1, home number 2, home number 3. Where the price point was in Cape Breton, people were more into buying the forever home. And that affects how you do your marketing and things like that. Excuse me as I go through this. They talk in your handout that you have that you go and these people, you should go through and audit your list. I don't do that. Here's what we do. Until they tell us to stop sending me something, we're going to keep sending it. Because, you all have friends and you'll be, I think what happens on people is you probably have friends that a number of them every so many years, they're changing their home needs and things like that. We've had a little bit of success here as our clients have aged and their kids are coming out of university, they're getting a job, things like that. We're really watching out on Facebook, particularly, and Instagram also, when we see them talking about their kids getting a new job or they've made partner at an accounting firm or at a legal firm. We're reaching out to them, congratulations. And I'm bold. I'll say, look, we're happy to talk to you anytime about real estate. And Christine says to me, geez, Al, you can be more subtle, but it's surprising. We get a couple of those every year. And you already have a relationship with the parents. And for those of you who have sold homes to the children of the parents, it's quite a disappointment when you hear that the children have bought through another agent. They're in the wine club or they're in this organization or that organization. If you don't raise your hand and come up with the family, start a family benefit plan. You can figure some reason to raise you out of the crowd, get them on your list. And in the first conversation, you might say, have you been thinking? Yeah, we are. But it seems stuff is so expensive. Like we really want to be in Fairmount. And why don't I put you on a feed and I'll send you a list of all the solds in that area for the last year. Oh, geez, that'd be great. And if you see something that you're wondering how much that sold for, call me. I can get you that information very quickly. And so you're not really asking them for something. You're offering that you're going to do something. So if you're a good person in their mind, they may repay that favor by doing things for you, such as having you represent them.
That's a really, really, really good point. And that's happened to me a few times where I've sold to the parents and the parents have recommended me, even though there was this one particular couple that I remember, and they were actually in another Facebook group with friends of theirs that were agents. There were a few agents in that group, but they came to me because their parents recommended me.
There you go.
Yeah, their parents recommended me, and that was good enough for them. So that's really good point.
Yeah, and we've had even, and this is a big hit when it happens to you, we've had the second generation, the nephews and they go, they buy a host that they've made a new best buddy or new best friend in their group. They buy from someone we think they don't know. It turns out they did know them pretty well. And you can come up with your own ideas why it would be beneficial to them to deal with you. Like there's all kinds of things that you can use. We use a lot in this market of CIBC and Royal Bank have a deal with Atlantic Law, Byron Balcom. And they get their legal fees for around $500 if they get a mortgage from those two companies. And that's a big saving. You know, if they're going to deal with a downtown high-rise firm, because at work someone may deal with that. We've had a client the other day, they spent like $1,400 in legal fees versus $500, $599 or something like that. So I'm not pushing anything towards someone or another. It's just that you got to find out what you can bring to the party that they'll value. And you can have a preferred suppliers list. And I usually describe it to people, and it sounds so stupid, but I said, it's like you're going into a hardware store and you need to buy a new hammer. Well, like at Home Hardware, there'll be a guy, he'll come over and he's going, what are you doing with it? I'm doing this, or I'm doing, yeah, that's not the one. You'll be leaving half a hole in the gyprock if you use that one. You need to get this one. And like I'm a dedicated customer of Home Hardware because they're so helpful if you can give them business. And the same for you. If you tell people, look, if they have a home, they're going to renovate it a little bit. It was a starter home. Say, you know what, I've got a preferred suppliers list. I can send it to you and you can check with them. We've vetted these people. They do good work and we recommend them. And if there's anything else you're wondering about, who's good at this, who's not good at it, give us a call. And once they start giving you information or telling you about confidential things, you're sort of, you got your foot in the door, you're halfway there. And that's what it's all about. These things aren't going to change your life in one day. We're getting more chats here. 11 there.
It's just combo. Question right now.
Is that right? Okay, good. Does anyone have any questions on what we're going through so far and how it might be of some help to you? Is there anyone that doesn't have a CRM, a customer relationship manager, where you keep these notes? Like you don't want to do just a spreadsheet.
Command.
Yeah.
Command has it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
And
so, yeah.
there's still people that aren't using command. And it's basically, I'm gonna say
It's not free.
it's not free, but it's sort of you're gonna pay for it.
Yeah.
And And you get so many updates and things like that in it. I use command, like, I'm not a big seller. I did 3 transactions last year. So, and they were ones that came from a lawyer. They were so bad that I took them on because I didn't have any comfort in giving them to a member of the team because they were such terrible situations. But the lawyer gives us probably 10 referrals a year. So you got to judge everything as it goes. And you can have different things in command just for your database. You can tag in command things. We spend a lot of time recruiting in other parts of the province. And so I put people from other brokerages that I'm talking to, I'll put them in as prospect. And it's confidential to me. I'm sure that Keller could, big eye in the sky, could ultimately look at it, but I think they got lots of things to do rather than look at what I'm doing. And so you need to use command. It's better than anyone else that I've seen. And it's a great place to keep track of what goes on. You need to have follow-up. You will. So someone's scratch, Mike, is it?
Someone needs to mute themselves.
Yeah,
Mike does.
hi, Mike, can you?
So I have a question.
Yes.
And it's probably a general question for everybody is what's in today's market, what's everybody's top 3 lead generations that have been working?
Okay, well, you guys think that through, your top 3 things that you get leads from. We use a paid lead generation system. And that's just the nature of our business where we are. I like dealing with people we don't know. It's a different situation that comes about. The people within the team, they've started their own circles. And I think no one is at a 5 circle, but some of them have gotten to a 3 circle. One guy
I
was,
don't know what you mean by circles.
okay, the Olympic symbols, the 5 circles. So he met Joe through, he's a volunteer fireman. So all his volunteer fire connections are in that circle. But Joe recommended him to someone he plays hockey with. So now he's moved the hockey circle into that 2nd circle. And so they can all do some things. The innovative, the Huff and Puff hockey team that he connected with, he figured, well, they're probably going to have 12, 13 guys. So he bought a 2 for a beer. He knew the night that they played. He arrived a little bit before, dropped off the 2 for, and then humbly, he had their names, called them, and he said, hi, Joe, it's such and such. I'm fairly new in real estate, and anything you can do to give me a hand, if there's anyone you know that might need good service, I'd really appreciate it. And he got 3 leads from the 2 for a beer. And I'm sure there's some rule that you're not supposed to give alcoholic beverages out, but that's what he did. It was about just that connection. And now his partner's a teacher. And he said, I used to hate going to these teacher events with her. Now he said, I wouldn't miss one. He said, because if it's a kitchen party kind of thing, and Cape Breton is big for kitchen parties, that's a big thing with them. He said, and everyone wants to talk about real estate. That's like, you've all been at parties. Don't you find that that's the icebreaker? A lot of people start asking you,
As a market.
yeah, how's the market, what's going on?
Absolutely.
Plain or.
That's because they just haven't found
That's right.
the solution that you're gonna give them. You know, and so there's things like that now. So I stole that question with my answer, so I'm open for some other comments here about what your top.
Even top one, top three, I'm just curious what everybody's doing in this day and age, this market, and what's been proven to work for those individuals.
I'm big on my sphere. Sphere is probably the number one that I do. Is consistent with sphere, consistent with, even if they're not my immediate sphere, like. I mean, I'm 800 on Facebook, but my immediate sphere is probably 50. So I do a lot of on Facebook. Just like and comment on everything, but if it's like something major, pregnant, engaged, new puppy, dead puppy.
Oh,
message
God.
them. But like message. them. Like, don't just
Yeah.
don't just comment, like actually reach out and be a human about it.
What was the same thing here, what you guys look at there?
Be, I forget what she said. Be more human, more often, but there was a third.
There was a third.
Well, you know, they've done surveys and us dog people, we know this, that people at a certain age, the kids sort of disappear. Then your competition is grandkids, but the dog, oh, that's way up on the list of things.
Dog rules all.
Yeah, dog rules all, and so these things, there, and then you just said something that they want to complain at the party. They're just reaching out subliminally to you that I think this is bad, but I don't know. And that's where the opportunity is. Well, if you know anyone that's looking to do something, they need to get to a mortgage person right now and buy some insurance. And what the insurance is, I'm gonna get a rate fixed. So you don't have to take it, but you got that insurance policy that for the next 90 or 120 days, that's the most you're gonna pay that bank on a rate. Now, some of the banks are getting smart. Some of them are saying that our rate's only good for 21 days unless we get a deal, an agreement. But you know what, if you don't ask, you don't get. And if you're dealing with someone semi-regularly, I think they have flexibility in how long they'll hold the rate for you. If you're out of the blue, they don't know you from Adam, they're not gonna be too worried about fixing your rate. They'll see, they'll try you out, but if you give someone a fair number of deals, and I think 5 deals to a mortgage person a year is a lot. So it's not like you're competing with someone that does 75 transactions. You know, they need to have relationships. They have the same thing. People come in the front door, go through the process of buying a house, getting a mortgage, then they go out the back door because you're probably not going to hear from them for 7 years. So they need new people coming in the front door. And if you can be a supplier of people coming in the front, it'll help you. So what other things is anyone doing about in this marketplace, trying to open up conversations with people?
Well, one of the things, I used to be very successful on getting leads from open houses. I mean, that's basically how I built my business. You know, the last 3 years, that hasn't been a very good way to do it. So just listening to everybody and what everybody else is doing, because I did my own thing, but I did start going through Facebook, my friends on Facebook, and really doing a deep dive into everybody in their life and what they're doing and all that kind of stuff. And you know what? It has gotten me some leverage. I'm talking to people that I wouldn't normally have maybe spoken to. I mean, like actually on the phone. So that, and the other thing is the dog. So I walk my dog all the time, Black Lab, gorgeous JJ. And I meet people out all the time. So I usually take them out different times. So I'm not meeting the same people. And in the last, and I wrote it down, in the last 6 days, or sorry, in the last 3 weeks, I've met 6 different people. And we talked about real estate. We talked about our dogs, and then we talked about real estate.
Very good idea, Holly. Here's another opportunity that I know people who use this. Is a lot of the builders now, they don't do much spec building. They just don't, unless it's a firm deal. That's, or some other situation, they won't start the house until they have a firm deal. I used to do a lot of new construction. At the most, 1 year, I did 47 properties for one builder. But reach out to some of the smaller builders and say, look, you're probably having people approach you about getting a new home built, and they're dealing direct with you. If you want to pass those names on to me, I'm happy to get in touch with them and talk about their existing home. Because if we can get that home under contract more quickly, that probably means your place will be under contract too. And there's several different reactions you're going to get. You know what? I got a guy, so thanks. Then he goes for coffee, and one of his guys says, "Who's that?" "Oh, that was such and such a lady from Keller." "And what she want?" "Oh, she said that anyone that's looking to buy a home from us, if they haven't got an agent, you'd like to talk to them." Geez, that was pretty smart. You know, so that, once again, your circle is getting out there more, and people are saying good things about you. And sooner or later, someone is going to say yes. If for no other, and you can do things like, if you know the builder's building on a certain lot somewhere, go by Tim's. He's got some framers there with him. He's got 6 guys on site. You know, invest the $15 on some coffees and have a conversation. People will say good things, and good things turn into more and more and more. And much like I'm focused on recruiting people to Keller Williams. And here's my philosophy. I put it this way. You're a guy, you're in high school, and there's a girl that you really think a lot of, but she's got a boyfriend. So my thought is, you need to be the best second choice, because he's going to do something stupid. We all do something stupid. And if you're there, you're the second best choice. When they have a bad day, you may get the call. So with a builder, you know, he has his guy, and then the guy screws up and he's not happy with him. If you've touched that person maybe twice a year or something like that, you could be the guy that you get that call. And so I'm a big believer in the one bad day syndrome. It's and if you talk to Laura Lee here, she'll tell you that a lot of people that come to her, they come to her because they perceive they've been done wrong by either someone in another brokerage or whatever. Something bad has happened, and they're open to a conversation. We're going off course a little bit, but the concept works real well, because in your database, if you have Bobby Brown on your database, you've talked to him a couple of times, and he's thinking about selling, and they have no thought that it's not going to be a perfect conversation with his agent that he's dealing with. He goes there, and the agent said, "Jesus, you got a lot of work to do. You got to get this fixed. You know, people want the home perfect." "Oh, Oh, gee, well, we think it's pretty good, you know, like he's hurt their feelings. You could be the one that gets the call on that, so it's, go ahead.
We have back to the contractors thing, do we have to ask contractors if they're currently working with realtors before trying to pursue them?
No, you don't, because every listing that they do is a different MLS listing. They have not signed anything with an agent saying that I'm gonna deal with you forever. The builder I had a lot was Gerald Mitchell, and he's passed now, his son runs the company. But I constantly had agents doing that kind of thing, looking to get his business, so.
Yeah, like if you look at like Raymar Construction, like they do deal with Engel Volkers pretty much
Yeah.
wholeheartedly. But every one of their houses, it seems, is like under a different agent, so that's a
Yeah.
different SDBA with every one of these agents.
Yeah, and they're pretty smart. They don't sign the SBDA for their business. They do it for lot 2, 3, 4 Hardwood Hills.
Yeah.
So you can be there, you don't have to be too worried about that, but they also do deals. If you take the client to them,
I did a deal, a buy sell both sides with Raymar because I had the buyer, or
Right.
I had the seller,
right,
I had the land, and they excluded Engel Volkers, dealt wholeheartedly with me.
great idea. And if you go in and you have someone that wants a new build here, they're moving from away. And say, look, I can give them to anyone I want. So I'm happy with 3.5%. And we don't have to,
Build a house.
yeah, let's build a house. And they watch out for who's getting what, you know, they're good to have, so.
Another angle, Lynn, that you could do with chasing a builder would be if you had land maybe listed or had a piece of land in your pocket, you could go after them and say like, hey, I admire your product. I think I may have a perfect piece of land for your next project, like,
Yeah,
let's reach out, like, let's talk.
and learn about land too, in doing this. I did a piece of land up on Rocky Lake Drive, which was 58 feet wide. So everyone was looking at it, that it was under the zoning. That was one house, 60 foot wide. It wasn't big enough for two. And so they used to have link houses, which they have up on Rocky Lake Road now. So some of these link houses, if you're a little smarter than the average bear, and they're asking so much, you can go to a builder and say, look, I can get you 2 buildable lots for this number. Geez, let's jump on it, but I want the listings, and I don't care if they come to you direct, I want a listing on that house. So get smart, figure out things, drive around, look at corner lots, things like this, but we're deviating a bit from the database, but the more you build a connection out there, the better off you are. Like planners, engineering companies, don't hesitate to talk to people that work there. Because sometimes you'll have like a young puppy in there who's trying to raise his profile up in the firm. And if you can talk to them a little bit for some way, it's going to help you in your career. As he grows, hopefully you can grow alongside with him. And you'll have your guys, no, I shouldn't say guys, your folks. I want to make sure I'm saying the right words now.
Especially since it's International Women's Day, Al.
Is it?
It is.
Thank you, Holly. I'm not going to end up using all my time here. We've gone through what was in the basics here. If you have any questions at all, I'm happy to answer them. If the question doesn't come to you now, I'm also happy to take questions at any time. If you have something you're wondering what to do about it on a confidential basis, I can I'll return your call and I'll answer your question as best I can. Anyone that's online, through the chat, do you have any questions that you haven't had answered today or you'd like more information on?
No, thank you. I think we got a lot of information today.
Yeah, thanks, Al. I think I'm good too.
Okay, Adam and Johan, thank you very, very much. Okay, guys, I think we'll,
So thanks.
okay,
Yeah, that was great info, Al. Thanks.
okay, you're very welcome. Thank
Thank
you.
you all.
See
Have a
y'all.
great day.
Thanks,
Okay.
Al.
You.
Bye-bye. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.
How's it going? I'm doing
Dennis, how you doing?
good. How are you?
Not too bad.